What is higher order thinking? I've been talking about leveling up your strategic thinking, and that's why I create my content over here. I mentioned systems thinking because that's my MSc, my Master's in Science, and I'm in the last phase of my postgraduate study. I talk about strategic consulting, my communications work for over 20 years. I talk about being a chartered public relations practitioner, how I look at crisis comms, public relations, reputational management, and how it all requires a certain level of analysis, reflexivity, a real sort of criticality to your thinking. Whenever I say that word or read it, I feel like it's a fake word, criticality. Um, but let's talk about our cognitive ability and let's talk about higher order thinking. When I first began my systems thinking masters, I initially started it because I thought, you know what, I really want to do? I just want to scale. I just want to elevate. Elevate's a better word, actually. I want to elevate. I want to be smarter. I really want to push myself. I feel like I have kind of plateaued in my career. I had sort of declined a professional development opportunity, which was pretty serious stuff. But I just wanted to have more of a personal relationship to my development. I didn't just want it to be about the 9 to 5 or my profession. I wanted to look at life, society, politics, everything through a lens where I could sort of arrive at ideas, solutions, so that I could evaluate in a much more impressive and powerful way so that I just didn't sort of get sucked into opinions or bandwagons. So that was my sort of motivation behind studying systems thinking and wanting to level up my own strategic thinking. And I thought, gosh, as I continued down these sort of multiple rabbit holes, because it's been like that, I feel like I'm just permanently underground going through this maze of rabbit holes. They're all intertwined, they're all interrelated. And it's been wonderful. I'm still underneath. That's why it's always dark here with a few lights. But I just enjoy it so much. And it could be because I've sort of lately been diagnosed in my 40s with ADHD and autism and have been masking heavily my whole life. And I've sort of been embracing my introversion, which is pretty deep. And now I'm always inside. I always say that to myself in my head, let's get back inside. Um, just my music references. But I really have been enjoying being inside and underneath and in my rabbit holes and exploring higher order thinking. So I thought, Serena, let's just do an episode, just a little bit personal. And like I'm writing in my journal and sharing with you, like, why bother leveling up your strategic thinking as a creator, entrepreneur, as a business person, as a brand, as somebody who's building something in public? It's so important because naturally you find as you're wearing so many different hats, you have to be very agile and adaptable. But when you're being agile and adaptable, you can also be reacting to stuff. And when you're reacting to stuff, you're not able to sort of perhaps anticipate as much, or you might get carried away, or you could make a bad decision. Oh, we've made plenty of those in our life. Indeed, I have. I wish I had reflected much more in my 20s and my 30s. I think I was on that 90s and noughties bandwagon of the American dream and how it infiltrated over here in London. And I was hustling all the time and networking with my Filofax. It was a time, like it was a time. I remember sort of having meetings with ministers and MPs and going to the Commons, and not interviewing journalists, meeting journalists to get their advice on careers. And back then, all of these people were in demand. They um, were sort of, just because, it was before social media and the sort of digital revolution doesn't mean they weren't busy. Everyone had a Rolodex and a Filofax and a diary that was pretty full. But I was very active, and I think I was sort of jumping on opportunities all the time and saying yes to everything and never reflecting on things. And it's not that you should sort of, oh, no, I should have said no, but it's that you can agree to something, but it could be within a framework that is much more suitable for you. You can go along with something, but you could have terms, right? I wasn't very good at sort of having terms because I was just so happy for the opportunity and just rocking up and doing an excellent job and trying to get to know everybody. And for the most part, it worked for me, but then I made mistakes, but they were forgiven because for the most part, I was doing a good job. But then I missed out on those opportunities to learn and to really level up my thinking, how I was in a strategic sense. I remember I was in a meeting with a very sort of superior, um, somebody quite high up. They were a chairman of a media company, and I had to report back on some progress for an initiative that I had been managing and how I had essentially sold the idea to other media entities. And this person asked for my opinion, and I thought, gosh, they're asking me whether it's a good idea or not. I mean, I was just reporting on progress. I thought, yeah, sure. I mean, they want it and they'll do this with it. And he kind of looked at me and he paused. I still plays in my mind, 20 something years later. And he's like, okay then. I mean, it wasn't that, oh, I sold the idea. It was like, where else was the idea going to go? The kind of industry was working that way. It was an initiative that was going in that direction. But I guess he wanted some insight or something more intentional, something a bit more convincing and revealing from me. And because I was sort of always looking to just do a good job, I didn't have my sort of strategic, consultative hat on back then. Otherwise, I would have said, you know what? Go for it, but do it this way. Like, keep involved in some way. Don't sort of completely hand it over. Have some terms, right? But, hindsight and all that. But again, it's like, this kind these kinds of opportunities happen in our lives all the time, and we sort of can betray ourselves at the worst, or just kind of be a little bit flaky or flimsy with what we do and what we think and what we say, and it's not a great place to be. But with higher order thinking, I got there in the end. With higher order thinking, it's kind of referring to levels of your cognitive thinking, and it involves skills that goes beyond the sort of usual memorization that we were told to do, the usual comprehension, the usual recall that we've learned at school or through work. It involves more analysis, synthesizing information, which is why I always say, please don't rely on ChatGPT and all of these sort of AI language models to do the work for you. Try and do the synthesis yourself. But higher order thinking involves analyzing, synthesizing, and also evaluating, like having that sort of process yourself, like giving yourself an opportunity to do that evaluation, and also to create knowledge, research, information, to put it out there, to create it from scratch, to storyboard it, to have a concept, and to take it all the way to the finish line. Um, that sort of these opportunities, when we are doing these things, when we are evaluating, when we are creating, we are sort of exercising our higher order thinking. And when you're doing that, it is so essential for all kinds of problem solving and definitely for critical thinking. I just did a video talking about how being a creative and being adaptable is really important for the sort of AI age that we're in. And it's because there's a lot of complexity to have to sort of manage and to navigate. And because of that complexity, it requires us to have higher order thinking. And anything that you do, whether it's your business, your profession, your interests, your ventures, they're all going to face complexity. And so you have to figure out how to make sensible judgments and how to innovate when required. These higher order thinking skills are really crucial. And they are so important. I don't know why they're not in our educational settings. If I was to teach again and go back into sort of preteen, teen sort of age learning, teaching, sorry, I would ensure I'd want to make sure that every class, every subject, wove this into the lesson plan for each day, for each session. You've got to encourage our students and our young ones and ourselves to engage much more deeply, to do that kind of synthesizing with anything that they're consuming or any conversation that they're happening. And we perhaps don't do this for ourselves enough, and we've got to model it for them. But it's necessary. I mean, it's a practice. It's something that you have to adopt in your daily life, personally and professionally, in order for you to really hone these analytic abilities. So I really hope that I have sort of nudged you in that direction. If you've got any questions about it, then please drop me a comment. I was going to say drop me a line. I've been toying with an idea of beginning a membership, where we do just this on a monthly basis on a Zoom. And if I had a membership community where we could do this on a regular basis, or we could perhaps read an essay in advance, review something together, and then come and debate and discuss it. I would like to do that with others and use my channel responsibly. I'd like to do it for a younger age group as well, like, late teens who are coming sort of uh towards that sort of like college, university age as well. So I welcome your ideas, and your encouragement. Your encouragement is subscribing. If you haven't already done, please do so. It really does help me. It's a new channel, but I'm not new to the internet. By now, I'm sure. I have other channels and other outputs, but by and large, 90% of the time, I am offline doing the work. So be rest assured that Serena's doing the work. She's not just speaking from being someone on camera all the time. Like, I'm actually doing the work, and I'm here to give you nuggets and value. So I hope you appreciate it. I appreciate your time and attention, the most important things that we have. And I'll catch you in the next video. There's always a video on a Monday and extras during the December, January season. I'll see you in the next one.